Fighting games are many different things to many different people. For some, they're a fun break from the mass amount of live service slop playing online multiplayer. To others, they're highly strategic and competitive experiences, gate-kept by motion inputs. Regardless how you feel about them though, I think one thing we can all agree on is that fighting games are a genre heavily defined by the characters you play as. After all, it doesn't matter if a game has the most dazzling graphics or the most intricate mechanics if none of the characters look appealing to play as, for any number of reasons really. Some people might pick a character because of the way they look. Others might pick a character because their playstyle looks interesting. Sometimes it's the character's personality that draws you in, and other times it's because you feel like questioning your sexuality. I'ma shut up now. My point being that there's a large variety of reasons why people pick the characters they do, and today we're going to be focusing on a particularly unfortunate reason, because sometimes it's just fun being a dick in a game with online multiplayer. While most people assume trolling is an act only saved for the scum of the earth, most folks tend to forget there's layers to it. After all, there's a massive difference between saying racial slurs in the COD lobby and blasting music over your shitty microphone in the COD lobby. And today, I'll be taking a look at a few characters whose player bases tend to fall under the latter. Although before I start, I would like to clarify that just because a character is capable of trolling in some form or other, doesn't mean everyone that plays them is a troll, which is something I feel is especially apparent with the first character I'm bringing up. Okay, before I start, I should clarify up front that I've only recently actually started getting into the KOF series. Now, while I do have a couple hours both online and offline, it's nowhere near the same amount of time I've put into literally every game I'm going to be talking about today. Granted, considering the character I'm going to be talking about, I don't think having a large amount of playtime is entirely necessary, and for those who don't know why, allow me to set the stage for you. For the uninitiated, the King of Fighters series is a franchise that dates all the way back to 1994, and it was originally envisioned as a massive crossover between a bunch of SNK's franchises at the time, before becoming a weird mixture of that and its own thing. So naturally, with the exception of a handful of original characters, most of the early roster came from pre-existing SNK games at the time. For example, you have a team based on Fatal Fury, a team based on the Ikari Warriors, and a team loosely based on some of SNK's sports games at the time. But for the purposes of this video, the most important team is the team based on Psycho Soldiers, because that's the team led by Athena, and later on in the early 2000s, when the series temporarily went from a 3-team structure to a 4-team structure, got a new member in the form of Bao, with both characters excelling heavily in both general screen control and zoning. And at first glance, you would think that's where the annoying part comes in. And while that's slightly true for Bao, considering he has a small hitbox and a moveset that consists of chucking both projectiles and himself in various directions, Athena, on the other hand, is really not that annoying from a gameplay perspective, since even though she is a zoner, her toolkit is diverse enough to make the process of gaining screen control actually quite interesting. She has a command grab and a DP for when the opponent gets too close, a projectile to keep them at a distance, a reflector for general defensive purposes and some games can be used as a combo tool, a teleport that's good for both mix-ups and creating distance, and a downward spiking move for aerial control. So, if both characters are only mildly annoying from a gameplay perspective, why talk about them at all then? Well, my friend, the explanation is quite simple. Have you ever heard of this magical thing called ear rape? Okay, so a character yelling out the name of their special move is nothing new for fighting games. The most famous character in the genre does it, several characters I mentioned in my Guilty Gear videos do it, and hell, several characters in KOF do it as well. However, the key difference is, when Yuri yells out Ryoken, I don't feel like I'm 5 seconds away from having a migraine. Alright, all joking aside, it's very obvious just from listening to it that it's annoying, but why is it only annoying when they do it? Well, I think it comes down to two main reasons. The first reason being that, in my experience at least, high-pitched voices are kind of a rarity in fighting games. Not saying that every other fighting game character on the planet has a low, grungy voice or anything, but when I really stop to think about it, the only characters I think has a similar pitched voice is probably May and Bridget in the old Guilty Gear games, and aside from Yuri, yeah, that's about it. Of course, that's only covering half the problem, with the main issue being that whenever they use Psycho Ball, they really drag out the pronunciation of the move. They're not just saying Psycho Ball, they're going Psycho Ball, which would be annoying as is, But you have to keep in mind that Psycho Ball isn't a super, it's a regular special move that also happens to be their main method of zoning. Meaning that even though spamming it is a bad idea, a decent chunk of their game plan does rely on using Psycho Ball quite frequently. Luckily though, this is only really a problem that exists with Psycho Ball. When Athena uses literally any other special move, she doesn't drag out the pronunciation nearly as much, meaning that in the hands of a good player, she's nowhere near as annoying as she could be. As for Bao though, well, let's just say there's a reason they locked him in a dating sim and never let him out. For our next character, we turn to a series that I've actually wanted to talk about for quite a bit, and while at first glance, BlazBlue appears to just be, we have Guilty Gear at home, but when you take a real look under the hood, you'll find a game that takes a skeleton of old Guilty Gear titles and takes it in a whole new direction. Mainly by roiding it up on steroids, or I guess in this case, calcium. It's fast, it's frantic, it's loaded with anime bullshit, and I really wish I was talking about Amane right now, but instead we're here to talk about, well, this freak of nature. For the uninitiated, this is Arakune, and he is by far one of the most controversial characters in BlazBlue, with his player base easily being split into two groups. There's the first group, which I'm going to affectionately call the Goobers, who, regardless of their actual skill level with the character, like him for primarily non-gameplay related reasons. Maybe they like him because of his tragic backstory of being a well-respected scientist that got mutated after getting a little too close to the Azure. Maybe they just like his weird design animations, or maybe they like the fact he has a color that references the way the shadows look in Persona 3. And then you have the second group of people who like him. The ones who like him because he's an annoying high tier, which, for many different reasons, some people have affectionately called scumbags. One of these reasons being his weird movement, since even though he probably has the slowest walk speed in the game, to kind of make up for that, he also has a very floaty air dash, a double air dash, and a Slayer-style teleport dash for mix-ups. So when you combine that with weird animations and the fact he has a special move that makes him invisible, and you're left with a character that you can't even tell what he's going to do half the time, which on its own would be fine if they were a mix-up focused character, but that only really describes half the problem, and only the half that applies to new players. You see, BlazBlue is a 4-button fighter with the main attack buttons being labeled A, B, C, and D, and while A through C are your basic light, medium, and heavy buttons, D is what is known as the drive button, a button used to perform gimmicky attacks that usually ties in with your character's unique mechanic. In Arakune's case, it performs attacks that fill up this little bar above your heat gauge called the curse bar. Now once full, the curse bar will start draining on its own and your opponent will be cursed. Which is where most of the trolling actually begins, because when the opponent is cursed, Arakune gets the ability to spawn one of 4 different types of bugs just from pressing one of the 4 attack buttons, with each bug coming in from a different direction and angle, allowing Arakune to absolutely litter the screen with these bugs and make it almost impossible to tell where you should be blocking from. Making things worse is that the bugs are a negative edge input, meaning that they come out on the button's release rather than on the button's press, allowing Arakune to delay the timing of the bugs, which makes it even trickier to tell where you should be blocking from. So combine all of that with this insane mix-up game, and you have a character that is absolutely hell to be forced into a defensive position against, which you probably will if he's able to fill up the curse bar. Luckily though, there is a silver lining to all this, and that's the fact that most of his drive attacks are rather slow, so if you just keep your eyes peeled for when he goes for one, you should be good. Granted, that's a lot easier said than done, but keep your eyes peeled nonetheless and you should be fine. For the final character of the video, we turn to a series that I, as well as more recent viewers of the channel, are probably well familiar with by this point. As most of you could probably guessed by now, one of my favorite fighting game franchises of all time is Guilty Gear. I love the fast and hectic gameplay, I love the absolute banger that is these game soundtracks, and you better bet your ass I absolutely love the lore and characters. But ultimately, we're here to talk about annoying/trollish characters, and ooh boy, does Guilty Gear have a whole smorgasbord of characters that fit the bill. From Plus Our Testament's ability to set up some truly obnoxious traps, to the mere existence of happy chaos, really any character in these games has the potential of being the bane of someone's existence. And to wrap up the video, we're going to be talking about the poster girl of annoying characters in this franchise, Mei. Although I should clarify that I'm mostly talking about the Plus R version of the character, mainly because while there is a lot of overlap between how she plays in Plus R and how she plays in Strive, I only ever really play her in Plus R for reasons we will get to later, and, well, she never really clicked for me in Strive for reasons that we will also get to later. So, for now, let's start with probably the most infamous and versatile tool in her kit, those damn dolphins. By doing either a back-forward or a down-up charge input, Mei comes charging in on a dolphin at either a straightforward angle or an upward arch depending on which charge input you did, with the move's distance being determined by which button you pressed, with Slash barely traveling a few feet forward and Heavy Slash being just shy of full screen. As I said earlier, Mr. Dolphin is probably Mei's most iconic move for reasons other than the iconic voice line associated with it. Mainly because if you know what you're doing, you can do basically anything with the move. You can use it to apply pressure, use the varying distances for mix-ups. If you're good enough with the timing, the horizontal version of the move is an amazing combo ender. Really, the only thing this move can't do is be used as a reversal, since it's not fast enough, nor does it have the invincibility frames to be used like that. But aside from that and how hard the move loses to projectiles, there's really not a lot of downsides to the move. Of course, while Mr. Dolphin is an impressive move, after all, I just got done saying all of this about it, it's not the only trick she has up her short sleeves. Some of Mei's other noteworthy tools include projectiles to help keep her opponent in place, a decent variety of large pokes, and of course, a little something we gamers like to call fuck you damage. So with this large variety of tools, plus a bunch of game-specific stuff I didn't mention, what kind of game plan is Mei trying to run with these tools exactly? Well, if you ask most people, they would probably say something along the lines of control the mid-range and apply an oppressive amount of pressure on your opponent. Which, in my opinion at least, is accurate and really does get to the root of why Mei is annoying from a gameplay perspective. Well, that and thank God Strive has an English dub. But getting back on topic, now that we've established what makes Mei so annoying, I guess the only real question is why do I prefer her in Plus R and not Strive? After all the things I said make her annoying to fight against are not only still here, but are actively made better. Her strong pressure, the insane damage, the versatile beast that is Mr. Dolphin, it's all both present and improved, so why not play the objectively best version of the character? Well, for me, it mainly boils down to moveset changes and the fact that Strive is overall a much simpler and easier game to understand, Plus R, which, while leading to an overall better environment for Mei to thrive in, it also leads to the character not sticking out as much to me, especially since in Plus R, Mei is capable of doing some of the dumbest shit you will ever see in a fighting game. A good example of what I'm talking about is a super of hers called Super Screaming Ultimate Spinning Whirlwind. Okay, first off, I love the name. It just radiates 12-year-old trying way too hard to sound cool, and, you know, she was around that age in the XX games, so that tracks. And as the name would imply, the move has Mei spinning around her anchor while moving forward, with a huge benefit of the move coming from the fact that it's armored, allowing you to hit through any moves that aren't supers or counters, making it a really good option against zoners. Also, by pressing punch during the move, perform a follow-up attack that summons an Orca, not only letting you squeeze out a little bit of extra damage, but also giving you a decent amount of distance on block. Granted, the move does have a few minor flaws that I would be remiss not to mention. You know, only minor flaws, like having a really slow recovery, being really easy for the opponent to jump over, the fact that every hit is a wall bounce, which, while making the move feel more powerful, also leads to a large number of situations where you accidentally hit the opponent out of the super and turn yourself into a sitting duck in the process. The fact that she has another move called Super Winner that not only is way easier to combo into, but is just overall a way better reversal. You know, minor flaws that you won't even notice most of the time. Really can't imagine why they would cut this move in Strive. You know, when I say it out loud like that, it almost sounds like this move objectively sucks, and it's only ever useful as a whiff punish, dealing with specific projectiles, or when you feel like going, fuck it, we ball. But to be fair, this is also a character that can spawn dolphin hoops out of nowhere, perform a fake out dust that hits low while still launching, and has a move where you spend 25 meter to fall flat on your face. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, while Mei is a character that has the potential to be really annoying on the receiving end, she's also a character that, at least in Plus R, is incredibly fun when you're behind the driver's seat. Or, in other words, yeah, fuck it, we ball. This has been Anti-Psychic, and I wish you all a Happy New Year.